Ilia Topuria's latest update has left the MMA world deeply concerned. After absorbing a brutal amount of damage against Justin Gaethje, Topuria is now admitting that his recovery is not going as planned, and he can no longer fully guarantee when or even if he will return to the octagon. So what exactly happened, and just how serious are these injuries? Let's break it down in full detail. On June 14th in Washington, D.C., Ilia Topuria stepped into one of the biggest fights of his career. He faced Justin Gaethje in the main event for the undisputed UFC lightweight championship. This was not a typical arena setting in Las Vegas or inside a casino. Instead, UFC Freedom 250 was staged outdoors on the lawns of the White House, with U.S. President Donald Trump expected in attendance. Alongside a crowd filled with celebrities, it became one of the most unique and largest stages in UFC history. Topuria walked in undefeated, carrying the aura of a dominant champion. He was not supposed to lose, not there, not like that. Blessed with sharp boxing skills, a dangerous submission arsenal, and the confidence of a two-division champion, he had already built a reputation that few could match. He had become the first fighter to knock out Max Holloway, then moved up to lightweight where he dominated Charles Oliveira to claim the belt. 3 knockouts, 3 legends in a row, that was the story of Ilia Topuria heading into that night. At first, it looked like that story was continuing. Topuria controlled the early pace and even managed to drop Gaethje with a clean strike in the second round. For a moment, it seemed like he was about to do it again, walk into another hostile environment, and shut the lights out on another icon. But Justin Gaethje did not go away. As the fight progressed into the later rounds, Gaethje began shifting the momentum. He landed heavy right hands and consistent combinations, repeatedly targeting Topuria's eyes. Not just one eye, but both. Round after round, the same pressure, the same damage, the same relentless assault. And Topuria, who had never been seriously hurt in his career, started absorbing punishment in a way the MMA world had never seen before. The damage changed everything about his face. By round 4, both of Topuria's eyes were shut completely. The two fighters continued trading, but Gaethje was landing the harder and cleaner shots, and Topuria was becoming almost unrecognizable. The former champion later admitted that he had lost vision in both eyes during the fight. Think about that for a second. He was continuing to fight while completely blind, with no peripheral vision, no depth perception, just darkness and incoming punches he could not see. After enduring that relentless striking barrage and absorbing a punishing knee to the body at the end of the 4th round, Topuria's brother and coaching corner made the decision to step in and stop the fight before the 5th round began. Justin Gaethje defeated Ilia Topuria via 4th round TKO corner stoppage. The undefeated record was gone. The lightweight title was gone, and Topuria was carried out of the octagon before the official decision was even announced. UFC President Dana White confirmed immediately after the event that Topuria was transported to the hospital right after the main event. White did not soften his words either. At the post-fight press conference, he explained exactly what he saw. "We literally had him get out of the octagon before the hand was even raised and sent him to the hospital," White said. "Ilia's in the hospital. He's busted up. I'm not a doctor, but his eye looked like he probably has a broken orbital." Then came the silence. For hours after the fight, there was nothing from Topuria. No social media post, no interviews, no statement from his team. Just silence. For a fighter as vocal, confident, and outspoken as Ilia Topuria, that silence said more than words ever could. Then finally, the post arrived, and it was not what anyone expected. The morning after the fight, Topuria broke his silence on Instagram. He congratulated Gaethje and even called for an eventual rematch after recovery. But it was what came before that rematch talk that truly shook the MMA world. He wrote directly to Gaethje, "Justin, congratulations. You said you'd leave your mark on my face and you did." That line alone grabbed attention. This was not the same confident, trash-talking Topuria who had promised a quick finish. This was something far more raw and honest. Then came the line that made fans stop scrolling. "You said you'd leave your mark on my face and you did. You took the sight from my right eye in the 1st round and by the end of the 2nd from my left too. Right eye, 1st round. Left eye, 2nd round." He was completely blind for the final 2 rounds of a 5-round world title fight. Not partially impaired, not slightly injured. Completely blind. Topuria did not make excuses. There was no talk of bad preparation, no blaming referees, no complaints about the environment. Just a brutally honest reflection of what happened. No excuses. "I had one of the best camps of my life. I came in sharp, prepared, and ready. Last night was your night." That's the nature of this game. Fans were not prepared for this version of Topuria. A fighter who had built his identity on confidence and dominance was now speaking with complete acceptance of defeat. But then came the final part of his message. "I'll heal. I'll rest, and I'll return stronger, wiser, and far more dangerous." And trust me, this story between us is far from over. Even in defeat, he was already speaking about a rematch. But that raised a deeper question. How serious were his injuries if he was already thinking about returning? After the fight, Topuria had to be physically supported out of the octagon by his brother and team, including fellow UFC fighter Alexandre Topuria. The images were difficult to ignore. His face was swollen, cut, and heavily damaged, and they quickly spread across the MMA world. Then came the reactions. UFC welterweight champion Islam Makhachev and lightweight contender Paddy Pimblett, both longtime rivals of Topuria, closely followed the aftermath. While some praised his toughness, others used the moment to criticize him. Makhachev posted, "He who exalts himself will be humbled." That was it. No sympathy, no acknowledgement of the performance, just a blunt reaction. Pimblett also responded harshly, mocking Topuria for losing after being stopped on his stool. He brought up old comments and wrote, "The only thing you had to do was beat a 38-year-old coming off of a 5-round war with me. Instead, you quit on your stool like the little you are." Arman Tsarukyan also labeled him a quitter. These reactions added pressure to an already devastating situation, but the real concern came from the medical reality. Topuria was immediately rushed to a Washington, D.C. hospital by ambulance before the decision was even announced. That detail alone highlighted the seriousness of the situation. Unlike most fighters who are checked and released, Topuria required urgent transport. When scans came back, the results confirmed the extent of the damage. He suffered non-displaced fractures in both orbital bones, with the right side taking the most damage. Both orbital bones were fractured, along with a broken nose. These are structural injuries to the face, affecting the bones that protect the eyes. In combat sports, orbital fractures occur when fighters absorb direct blunt force trauma to the eye area. Gaethje's punches had done exactly that. His team later confirmed, "Ilia is okay. Only injuries that need recovery time after a tough fight. He is out of the hospital at home." Doctors confirmed no surgery was required, but recovery was essential. However, at this time remained a key phrase, meaning complications could still change everything. Topuria received a 180-day medical suspension, the maximum allowed. This included a mandatory 60-day no-contact period. He cannot return until cleared by a maxillofacial surgeon. That clearance is not simple. It depends entirely on healing. If recovery does not go perfectly, the suspension can effectively extend beyond the stated timeline. That is why his potential return is now being discussed as early as 2027 at the most optimistic level. Dana White also made his position clear. "My plans are for him to go home and rest and recover. I just want to make sure he's healthy." For a fighter like Topuria, that statement says everything. Now the future is uncertain. He wants a rematch with Gaethje. He wants it in Spain. He wants to come back stronger, but his body is the deciding factor now, not ambition. And with rivals calling him a quitter, a division moving forward, and injuries affecting his vision, the path back is no longer simple. What remains is a fighter in recovery, a fractured title run, and a career moment that changed everything in a single night. And the MMA world is left waiting to see if Ilia Topuria truly returns, or if this fight marked a turning point that no one saw coming.